We've had a few rains in the last few days, so it's a bit moist and spitting a little bit at the moment. So there's a little bit overcast. You can see the sky there is a little bit overcast. The ground is slightly wet underfoot, but it's nice and dry in the shed. So here we are. You can see as I close the door, it's fairly dark in here, but the light looks fairly good. So I'll just show you what it looks like up on the mezzanine. As you can see, the floor is in, and need to put the walls in, but the floor is done, and it's looking quite good. I can just stand up in the centre there, but David, it's a bit too low for David. So David's maybe an inch or two on me. So started to do the trim just here around the door. Just started on that, and I've got the panelling here and over there. Now, a bit of a mistake here. I used a stair designer app to design the stairs to go up. Yeah, you're going to go up along here, but the stairs are going to end about here, which is too close to the door. So I'm moving the door over to here, so that's going to be up against this wall here, and so this is going to be the door, and that's all going to be filled in. So once I put the framing in, I'll put the remainder of the panels in just here, and that'll be the outside of this wall done. And I've got the framing in here is all done. And these are the panel lights that are going up in my office over here. I've got two of them to go up in this office here. Just started doing the insulation on this wall, and also the insulation up on the ceiling here. Just up here on the ceiling, you can see the insulation going in. Put up 2 sheets there. David, when I was here the other day finishing off the floor, he put up a second sheet. But I've got to put up the remainder of the insulation around here, and then put up the rest of the sheets. But we've got those sheets to put up. So once we've done that, we can start putting gyprock around the walls, insulation and gyprock, and then this office in here. As I said, all the framing's done. So it's coming together all bit by bit, and it's all looking quite good. So remember, we had all this flooring there. Now, interestingly, we had enough flooring with just a very small offcut to go right up to here, Now you might notice something a bit strange happens right there, up along here. That's that is 2 little offcuts from these sheets were used for the wall here, these sheets here. I doubled up on that just to fill in the corner there. And the reason why, it's just in a corner, and it's more than sufficiently strong. And it's just this small section here where I ran out of the other stuff, and I wasn't going to buy a whole new sheet just to fill in that corner. So I thought I'll use that in there, and that's fine. So everything's coming together quite well. That's progress we made as of last weekend. So the next thing is to do the ceiling and the walls in this office here, and that will basically finish off one office. Now, here's the thing. I've got some shelving to go in here, some brown built shelving that Lisa picked up at an auction a few years ago now, and I asked her to bid on one pallet, and she came home with 3, and that was enough to do all the shelving in the other shed along 2 walls, like meters and meters of the stuff. And I had some shelving left over which wouldn't fit in the other shed because it was too high, but it will fit in here really well. So I'm going to do that back wall and shelving and back along here. Possibly along here, I haven't decided yet. I'll think about where I want to put the shelving. But the shelving is perfectly fine to go in here. But what I was going to do was do an epoxy floor on the concrete here. And I've been umming and ahhing and thinking about it, and if I do it myself, it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of hard work, hard yakka, but the cost is probably going to be about $1,000 for the epoxy. What you do is you grind the floor with it's a polisher style grinder with circular sanding discs, and then you wet grind it. So you spray water on the floor, and then you clean it up afterwards and spray water. You do it in sections. I've seen videos, and it's pretty hard work. And then once the floor is ground and polished with a sander, then you lay down the epoxy, you put flakes on it, and then let it dry, and it comes up really nice. But I was watching a video from one of my favourite woodworkers, Mark Spagnola, and he's just bought himself an old firehouse, which he's going to use for a woodworking shed. And he was asked if he was going to epoxy his floor, because his last 2 woodworking sheds, he's epoxied his floor. And he said, no, he's not. And the reason is because it's really only for aesthetics. It doesn't provide any practical value. If you've got a moisture problem, then maybe put epoxy on the floor. But he said otherwise there's really no point unless you want it to look nice. In his last place, it was the garage that he was using for his woodworking, and he decided that, and of course, when he came to sell it, it looked really nice, and he said the concrete floor was breaking up and had all sorts of issues and problems, and it needed to be ground anyway, and the epoxy just gave it a really nice finish. But in the new place, there's no need to, because concrete floor is fine. And ditto in here, the concrete floor is perfectly fine in here. I mean, it's new floor, for goodness sakes. Once you clean it up and sweep it, it's going to look perfectly fine. a little bit easier to clean with epoxy down, but other than that, there's really no reason. So, and the other thing is too, if you spill like glue, for example, on concrete floor, it'll stick. If there's epoxy on it, it'll just peel straight off. It won't stick. But in conclusion, he said he's not going to do it because he doesn't see the point. Of course, on the basis of that, and he's had a lot more experience with the various types of floor than I have. So on the basis of that, what I've decided is that I'm not going to epoxy the floor after all. I'm just going to leave it bare, and where I stand, where I'm going to spend a lot of my time in front of benches and machines, etc., I'll probably lay matting down. What sort of matting I don't know at this stage, but I'll think about it. But that being the case, I don't need to clear this area out. So what I've decided is that I'm going to start putting shelving up. I'll probably put shelving along that back wall to start off with. And put a section along the back wall, and then I've got, if I do the whole back wall, then I'll still have more shelving to put along one or other of the side walls. So what I'll probably do is do the whole back wall, and then put a section either along this wall or a section along the other wall on the other side. And I'll start putting some of this stuff that's on the floor. I've got a whole lot of bits and pieces and paraphernalia and tools and the like that's just hanging around the place, hanging around like a bad smell, and put it up into the shelving so that I can get it out of the way and up off the floor. And that'll make the place a lot tidier and a lot neater. But that's where we are up until, I mean, that's the latest. Here we are. It's a bit cooler today. It was quite warm yesterday morning, and then it came in cool and started to rain a bit. But it's not really cold today. It's, for an overcast rainy day, it's relatively mild. It's a holiday here tomorrow in memory of the Queen and her death, because she's our head of state, of course. And I've decided to take Friday and Monday off on annual leave. So hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of stuff done in the shed, maybe finish off my office over the weekend.